students of Reddit, have you ever lost your temper with a teacher? What's your story? In Heidelberg on my year abroad, my friend and I took a class that we thought would be interesting. It wasn't. The teacher was a complete cow who hated her non-German students, and as we were the only two that semester. Go figure. She was hawkish with me after learning I was part German, but awful to my friend. We missed 2 classes overall, had to return to our own universities for a little. This was agreed beforehand, so we missed 2 of her classes. Every other time we went to that class was together, so we missed the same amount. However, the woman told my friend she automatically failed her class as she missed 3. But I was fine as I'd only missed 2. We both decided to never go to her class again or sit her exam. Oddly enough, that exam never showed up on our year abroad credits, and we both passed with high marks. My 2nd grade teacher was Sister Bridget. She didn't like me at all. One day I was feeling ill, and I asked to use the restroom. She told me I was lying. As she tried to tell me why I was a liar, I vomited all over her shoes. I can relate to this. When I was 8, I had a sudden and intense urge to go pee minutes before the school bell was set to ring for home time. I asked the teacher if I could use the bathroom as I was desperate to pee, and she said absolutely not, and I wasn't about to trick her and sneak off home early. I started begging her frantically, but she ignored me and started addressing the class about what to bring for tomorrow. I felt my body give in halfway through her speech and just stood there behind my desk. As the bell rang, all the other children ran out of the classroom instantly. The teacher approached me and sarcastically said back, quote, "I thought you were busting to go home." I told her I already had and kept my head down. I think she was just as embarrassed explaining to my mum why she hasn't let me use the bathroom. What a beach. I hope you weren't embarrassed or anything, poor baby. I hadn't been doing well in calculus all year, but I was trying my best and just struggling. My teacher was one of the cool ones, the kind who act laid back and crack jokes and all that. I think this guy just thought I wasn't trying, and he was as frustrated with me as I was with myself. One day in class he made a sort of passive-aggressive joke at my expense, something about if you would just try harder. He didn't even say it in front of other students, just to me, but I was so over him thinking I wasn't trying that I got up and walked straight out and to the school counselor's office. I would have been sent there anyway for walking out in class, so I decided to expedite the process. She was really kind and talked me down from being so upset. Anyway, that was on a Friday, so I didn't see my calculus teacher again until Monday. I was hoping we could just pretend it didn't happen, but no such luck. He pulled me into the hallway to talk and truly, genuinely apologized. He offered to adjust his office hours, which didn't work for me, to give me extra help. He ended up helping me pass the class barely, but I still passed. I wouldn't have graduated without it. In retrospect, just talking to him more openly from the get-go probably would have been the more mature thing to do, but I was an awkward, self-doubting teenager who didn't know how to ask for help. In the end, the experience helped me improve that skill and advocate for myself. I still hate calculus though. I'm a calc teacher and this was good for me to read. We got this admin in my school who I've nicknamed the Pickinator. In my sophomore year, she was patrolling the school, ducking Darlaw's Umbridge style. She loves ruining kids' days, and she busts kids for the most minor of things. This really annoying kid no one likes came up and snatched my backpack and ran. So I ran after him and ripped it out of his hands. Pickinator comes outside and immediately says, "You two, stop wrestling around and come with me." She escorted us to the office because apparently we were wrestling and fighting. Tried to tell her I was just getting my shit back and she wasn't having it. So I just said, "Well, got my shit back, no reason to stick around now," and went to my next class, which was starting shortly. I got called down later anyway, but my admin pretty much told me she overreacted and to just forget it happened. Pickinator hates me now. You should start wearing a Luchada mask to school. I once had some kind of stomach pain, the worst pain I've felt my whole life, and was in science class. I started groaning in agony in first ducking row and my bud next to me said I needed to leave and go to the hospital. I wanted to, but my teacher the canned ignored me, and the tears that had now started streaming down my face. A minute later I just stood up, walked to the door, and as soon as she tried to talk shit I told her to pipe the duck down, and walked out with a raised middle finger. Then I proceeded to throw up in the trash outside. Good times. 8th grade science class. God, I hated her. For the sake of this, let's say her name was Mrs. B. Early on in the year, Mrs. B had given us a science fair project due in January. We had several class periods over the course of those months as well to work on it. My project was creating an unbeatable tic-tac-toe program. Did work properly, but that's beside the point right now. Because it would take significantly longer to have 20 people the amount of tests we had to do each play 3 rounds with the thing. So I asked her if I could do fewer and she agreed, allowing me to only do 7 people, which I got done shortly before Christmas break, only about 1.5 school weeks until the project was due. I make sure to thank her for letting me do fewer, as I would never have gotten it done in time otherwise. She turns to me with this confused look as says something to the effect of, I never said that, you have to do 20 trials like everyone else. I was so insanely furious, I even got a witness who had overheard her give me a lower number come in as evidence. Both me and my witness ended up in detention. I did end up getting the project done, but barely, and it was rushed as hell. I still occasionally think of it and want to punch a wall. Edit. Apparently I had a typo. I had meant to type didn't work properly, but the way it came out, not only do I sound like a humble brag, but I also started an argument later down the comment chain. Oop. It's kind of infuriating when teachers give you detention just for disagreeing. If you weren't being rude, isn't that an abuse of power on her part? Why don't teachers ever get in trouble for this? I had a bout of stomach flu which was so intense that it damaged my intestines, and as a result my body couldn't process certain foods for a while. This caused me severe pain. I mainly had cramps that were so bad I couldn't do anything useful anymore except curl up and wait for them to be over. It took me more than a month to figure out a very limited amount of safe stuff to eat, which I ended up slowly expanding on over time. I did miss a few weeks of school when it first started though. Directly after my math teacher's class she insisted I come to her and explain why I missed so many of her classes. I had a note from my GP ready, but she dismissed it. She told me she could tell that I wasn't sick, but that I was just lazy and lying to everyone, and that she was severely disappointed in me. I literally just walked away, which is the closest I ever got to having a temper tantrum in class. In retrospect I wish I had told her what I was really thinking, being that I was very disappointed in her. Edit. Typus and such. I was pretty sick for a while, and a teacher asked me why I wasn't in the last few classes, and I said I was sick. The teacher said, "You're not sick, you look completely healthy." I said, "Oh, look at you with the all-powerful eyes that can see disease inside of people at an instant." He kind of realized what he said, apologized and told me to sit. He didn't like me anymore, which is rare, and just kind of let me do my own thing for the rest of the semester. When I was a senior in high school I had an app Englishy teacher that would grade people based on how much she liked them essentially. I had long hair and stretched earlobes, and she despised me, even though I was an excellent student in all aspects. She claimed I didn't turn in assignments on time to justify my grades. So I spoke with my guidance counselor and she investigated for me. Turns out she had sorted completed assignments into piles of good and bad, and would arbitrarily grade the papers based on who she felt sucked up to her the most that day. I presented a book report on the Odyssey, which was by far the longest and most detailed presentation of the whole class, and she gave me a D. I told her FCKU, "This is the end of your career," and walked out, because I had sent an identical copy to the guidance counselor. She presented it to the school board, eventually got her fired, and the best part was she was also a driver's ed instructor, and lost her job doing that as well. Apparently I wasn't the first to speak up about her, but I was the one that out the nail in the coffin, and it felt great. Ah yes, a long time ago in 3rd grade we were having a math lesson and our para was helping our teacher out. I wasn't great at math at that young age and I would ask her for help, and then she would ignore me and move on to a different student. I finally got her attention and asked her if she could please help me, and she finally said yes, and then moved on to a different student. So I got pissed and slammed my fists on the desk. The whole room went silent and I said, "I need help on my math, can I please have some help?" The principal came down and talked to me and asked why I did that, because I got reported for being disruptive. She was really nice, and I never got sent to the principal's office before, and I told her what happened, and she gave a death glare to the paragraph.